Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're breaking down the absolute core of the trading card game, Hexaverse. We're going to skip the fluff and dive straight into the engine that makes this whole game work, the 3 pillars of play. So how do you go from just, playing the game to actually dominating it? Well, the answer really lies in understanding and mastering the 3 fundamental tools the game gives every single player. So let's get into it. All right, here's the game plan. We'll start with a quick overview of your toolkit, then we're going to break down each of the 3 card types one by one, and then the fun part. We'll see how they all work together to build a truly winning strategy. Okay, so every single card in your 30-card deck, it falls into one of 3 distinct categories, and each one has a completely unique job to do on the battlefield. Getting a handle on these roles is like step 1 to becoming a great player.
It's really that simple when you think about it. You've got your fighters, their gear, and your secret spells. If you can master how these 3 things interact, you are already well on your way to victory.
First up, let's talk about what is arguably the most important card type, your characters. These are your soldiers on the field, the ones actually dealing the damage and really forming the backbone of pretty much any strategy you can think of. You should think of characters as your permanent units on the board. They stay right there until they're destroyed in battle. And since you only have 3 zones to play them in, each one represents a huge part of your presence in the game.
So let's actually break a card down. Take Blazer Percy Ashdown here. Yeah, he's got his fighting power. That 2000 attack is no joke. But look deeper. You see layers of synergy, like his archetype and element. But the real game changer? That's his unique effect. When Percy destroys another character, you get to search your deck for a card. That isn't just powerful, it's a massive strategic advantage.
But a fighter is only as good as their equipment, right? Well, that's exactly where our second card type, boosts, come into play. This is how you take a pretty good character and turn them into an absolute monster. Now, unlike characters, these don't take up their own zone on the field. Instead, you play them directly onto your characters. Think of them like permanent attachments that can either pump up a character's stats or even grant them entirely new, game-changing abilities.
And you can see the impact right here. Look at Air Dragon. On its own, it's a respectable 1100 attack, but then you equip it with Dragon Unleashing, and all of a sudden it's a 1600 attack powerhouse. That 500-point difference can absolutely decide the outcome of a battle.
And that brings us to a really key number, 3. That is the maximum number of boosts you can equip to a single character. Now this limit is crucial because it forces you to make a strategic choice. Do you go all in and create one unstoppable super unit? Or do you spread your upgrades across the board? This decision is totally central to how you customize your army on the fly.
All right, finally, let's talk about the fastest and, honestly, the most surprising tool in your entire kit, the action cards. These are your wild cards, your secret weapons, your game changers.
So, unlike characters and boosts that stick around on the field, actions are played, their effect happens instantly, and then they go straight to the recycle zone, which is basically the discard pile. They're a one-shot deal, and they are designed for maximum immediate impact.
This is where we get into a really crucial concept, speed. Actions are the fastest cards in the game, period, and that's your secret weapon. It means you don't have to just sit there and wait for your turn. You can play an action during your opponent's turn to interrupt and totally dismantle their carefully laid plans. And you don't need to look any further than the card Cancel. Its entire purpose is just to stop another action dead in its tracks. Imagine your opponent is about to unleash some game-winning move. With this one card from your hand, you can just say, nope. So now we know the 3 types, the fighter, the upgrade, and the surprise. But how do we combine them? Well, this is where true Hexaverse strategy really begins. So let's put it all together here. Your characters create your permanent board presence. Boosts are how you enhance that presence and make it way more threatening. And actions, well, actions are your flexible, reactive wildcards that you can spring on your opponent at pretty much any time. Here's a look at a basic but really powerful strategic sequence. You play a character, Crimson Blaster Ashdown, and his effect lets you search for a key boost. You play it, and all the while you're holding an action card in reserve, just in case. Each card is working together, see? You've got a proactive play to build your board, and you've got a reactive defense in your hand to protect your investment. That's a strategy that is so much stronger than just the sum of its parts. So, now you know the tools. The real question is, what kind of player are you going to be? Are you going to build an unstoppable titan by stacking a ton of boosts on a single character? Or maybe you'll control the flow of the entire game with a handful of surprising, game-changing actions. The choice is all yours.